Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's JLI Live, which is called I Can Be Happy and So Can You. I have a book with me. It's called I Could Be Besimcha. It's a book that I authored for kids. Now, I do many book readings for children, so am I going to be doing a book reading for adults? You ever heard the saying, everything I ever learned, I learned in kindergarten? When I wrote this book, I actually wrote it for children as a watered-down guide for how they can be besimcha. I could be happy. I could be besimcha. But in truth, it's really a guide for me. Every time I read it for my children, it's a guide for you. It's a guide for all of us. What are the timeless truths that we can use when we need to pick me up? A couple weeks ago, it was right before Passover. Things were very, very, very stressful at home and with the virus and learning how to get adjusted to a new life. And my 2-year-old asked me to read this book to him. Mommy, could you read I Could Be Besimcha? And as I was reading it, it was like the best reminder ever of what I need to do and how I need to shift in order to keep in a good mood, in order to be besimcha. I see people are coming on. Hi. And I'm watching this live, and I appreciate everyone. You can say hi. I will hopefully see the comments as they come in, so that I can really read this along with you, and you can give me feedback for what you want to hear more of. So, I Could Be Besimcha. You ready to dive in with me? What is it that we can do to increase those positive hormones in a positive way? So there was once a little boy who went over to his father and he said, "Daddy, you always tell me that money doesn't grow on trees, right?" Father's like, "Right." He's like, "But what's money made out of?" And father doesn't think so much, and he's like, "Paper." So the little boy looks all mischievously and he says, "So you see, money really does grow on trees." The truth is, money doesn't grow on trees. Money is not even made out of paper. Money is made out of cotton. So if you plant something, you will get money, but it's not a tree that you need to plant. What is it? If you plant cotton, that's what you will. Okay, I just took off my glasses because of the glare. I'm gonna put it back on. I apologize. So what do we need to think about? What is it that we need to plant in order to get this happiness? I want to go through the 4 stages. So I'm going to be reading it, but just really for all of us. Have you ever tried to win a game when you were feeling down? Can you perform your best when you're playing with a frown? Can you concentrate at all if you're in a sour mood? Or make the right decisions when you sit and sulk and brood? Here's the thing. When I'm in a bad mood, when I'm depressed, when it just sucks all the energy out of me. I can't function. I don't want to get out of bed. I have no reason to get out of bed in the morning. So when I'm trying to be happy, when I'm trying to find joy in my life, it's in order to be able to face the world, in order to be able to accomplish physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because what happens is that if we're down, that's going to affect our productivity and everything. If I'm in a bad mood, it's going to impact everybody around me, and it's going to impact what I'm able to do. So, the first thing that we need to know, even before we read about the 4 children and the 4 tools and the 4 steps to happiness, is that what I will think about is what I will feel, is what I will grow. This happiness tree actually could be planted in my head, because there's kind of 2 systems going on inside of me. I have my emotions of my animalistic self, of the part of me that's just selfish and cares for me to be happy and alive and well. And those emotions are just the normal emotions we know of. Disappointment, anger, frustration. And these emotions are normal responses to things that happen to us. But what happens is the more we think about them, the more they grow. The more I think about how could somebody have done that to me, the more frustrated and angry I'm going to be. That's the system of the animal soul. And we have another system. The other system is the system of our godly soul, the system of emotions that will bring us to equilibrium. The godly emotions, love of God, fear of God. And those are going to start in our brain. So rather than just be a natural emotion that we're going to keep going with all our thoughts, it's going to be an emotion that I'm going to plant in my brain. And what we want to do is get ourselves used to, in the habit of thinking certain thoughts that are going to give us the feelings that will help us accomplish the game, that are going to help us win this fight, that are going to help us succeed at life and get up in the morning. So, what's the first one of the steps to happiness, to being besimcha? Something that I need to remind myself and something that you can do right now. We have a little boy named Dovi, and Dovi's really upset because he wants his mother to buy him this brand new coat that all the kids in his class have. And his mother validates his feelings, but his mother says, Dovi, what are some things that you have? And again, while I'm writing this for children, this is really a reminder for myself. There are plenty of things that I just want in my life. And I want God to give me this, and I want God to give me that. But if I want to cultivate those feelings of gratitude, that is how I'm going to cultivate the feeling of happiness. When I wake up in the morning and I start thinking, I hear birds chirping. That's wonderful. I love hearing birds chirping. When I wake up in the morning and I enjoy my coffee. When I wake up in the morning and the first thing that I say is Modeh ani lefanecha, God, I'm so grateful. When I recite this prayer, the first thing in the morning, God, I am grateful that you returned your soul to me. That's the first thing that I can do as a step to be happy. Because again, if I'm thinking of all the things I don't have, I'm going to be miserable. But if I plant the seeds, and I'm planting the cotton that will turn into money, if I'm planting the seeds, if I'm conscious, if I'm purposeful about my gratitude thoughts, then I'm going to end up being happy. Some people do it in different ways. Some people have gratitude notebooks where they write 4 things every single morning. Some people have texting groups. Some people have WhatsApp groups. I have friends that share it with each other, because I'm creating thoughts in my brain. I'm creating new highways, new pathways, and these thoughts are going to give me that feeling. I'm planting the seed for happiness. So what are the little things in life that I could be grateful for? And I could also be grateful for the bigger things in life. But what is it that I could wake up in the morning and say, thank you, God. I have a backyard. I have a park. I have children. I have family. I have health. And even if there are certain things that I'm struggling with, even if there's losses that I had, and these days are challenging times for all of us. We've all been through losses in some way or another, whether it's financial losses, emotional losses, physical losses. We've all been through losses. The more I delve in that, the more I'm going to feel the lack. The more I focus on the gratitude, both to the people around me and to God in the morning, the more I'm going to be spreading that feel-good hormone inside of me, and the more I'm just going to be able to be grateful. That's the first tip. Now, what I'm seeing a lot online and different businesses are talking about is they're talking a lot about pivoting, taking your business offline and putting it online, pivoting your business model. And so what that does to me is that reminds me I need to pivot my perspective. Besides for being practical, besides for the practical steps I need to do to get adjusted to the era of COVID-19, I need to make a pivot in my brain, and I need to decide, because it's really not going to happen by itself. I'm not going to wake up in the morning and be grateful without me committing to that. I'm not going to wake up in the morning and choose to focus my thoughts on the system of godly thoughts and godly feelings if I'm not going to be proactive about it. So to me, when I see the word pivot, it's not just, reinvent myself in a business way. Pivot tells me I need to reinvent myself in an emotional way. I need to be consciously aware of all the gifts that I do have in my life and of the people that I'm surrounded with. There was a guy, David, who was once eating in a restaurant. Remember when restaurants were open? And he ate in the restaurant and he got his order and the steak that he ordered was way too rare. And he said to the waiter in like an angry tone, he's like, "Didn't you hear me saying well done?" And the waiter said, "Wow, it's been a while since I got such a compliment." It's been a while since the waiter got a compliment of well done. The question is, has it been a while since we've been complimenting the people around us? Has it been a while since we've just been grateful for the little things? So if I could wake up tomorrow morning, if I could, before I go to sleep tonight, take the time to be grateful for whatever small actions the people around me have done for me, I'm going to feel it in an emotional sense. I will be happier. So that's the first one. Who's with me for the second one? You could put a thumbs up. You could give a response. Thank you. What's the other ways that we could be happy? Our second character is Dina. Dina entered an art contest, but she didn't win. And she was so disappointed. So what did she do? She was walking home feeling dejected, feeling herself, feeling her own disappointment. And then she meets her aunt, who's having a hard time walking home because of all the snow. And so she offers to help her aunt walk home. And surprise, surprise, what happened? By the time she reached her aunt's house, her aunt tells her, "Thank you very much," she said. "That was really such a treat. I love chatting with you, Dina, as you helped me cross the street." Said Dina with a grin, "The thank you goes to you. Helping you made me happy about all the good things I can do." What ends up happening, and this has been my experience, and I'm hoping this has been for you, when I'm stuck in a rut in myself, when I'm feeling self-pity, when I'm feeling self-period, what I need to do is get out of myself. And the best way that I could get out of myself is by helping somebody else. So if I'm waking up in the morning and feeling really frustrated, I can pull out that phone and text 5 of my friends how they're doing. Because talking about pivoting, when I switch directions, and I don't just tell myself, don't think about yourself, but I proactively think about other people and take an interest in other people, what ends up happening automatically is I end up getting happier feelings. I end up feeling better. I start caring about the other person. A man once wrote into the Lubavitcher Rebbe, "I am so sad. I am so depressed. I have such a hard life." And the Rebbe circled in his letter all the times that he wrote, I. The key to happiness is my ability to get over the I and focusing on other people. I asked my 8-year-old for permission to share this. He once came home from school very upset. There were some boys in the bus that called him names, and it was heartbreaking to see. Here's an 8-year-old child who was basically just bullied on a bus. Anyways, an opportunity came up that night for him to play piano for a woman in a nursing home. And so I took him. And there my 8-year-old took out his keyboard and he was playing and she loved it and he made her so happy. And I brought home a different child. From being so stuck and so broken, and it really is painful to be made fun of. But when he played music for somebody else and brought joy to somebody else, that joy was seen so clearly on his face. And I've seen this again and again with my children. If I bake cookies with them just for themselves, I did a fun activity. If they bake a cookie for their friend whose mother had a baby, they're like glowing. They're doing something for somebody else. They're transcending themselves. And that's really what this is all about. When you're feeling down, yes, when we are always moving from a selfish to a selfless existence, thank you. When I'm able to get over myself, there's just a joy. It's exhilarating. There is a story shared about the Baal Shem Tov that he was once traveling and he was in Istanbul, and it was the holiday of Passover, and he had no money. He had no money for wine, no money for matzah, and it was quite distressing. And very, very close to the holiday, he had a knock on his door. And a very wealthy businessman introduced himself to the Baal Shem Tov and said, I heard you're in town. You don't have what you need for the holiday. It's all on me. I'll give you matzah, I'll give you wine, I'll give you meat, I'll give you everything you need for the holiday. The Baal Shem Tov was so touched and was so grateful. And he turned to this man. He said, what do you need? How could I repay you? And this wealthy businessman said, the truth is, I have a lot of money, but my wife and I are married for many years, and we don't have children. Can you bless me to have a child? The Baal Shem Tov looked at him and said, I promise you, you will have a child. Now, the way things work is that when a tzaddik, a righteous person, promises a Jew that he will have a child, he will have a child. But up in heaven, they weren't so happy that the Baal Shem Tov went and promised this childless couple a child. And it was decreed that this man who gave the Baal Shem Tov food for Passover would have a child. But because the Baal Shem Tov forced the heavens to grant this person a child, he was going to be punished. And he was going to lose his entire portion of the world to come. When the Baal Shem Tov understood that he would forfeit his entire world to come because he promised this other man to have a child, what do you think his reaction was? He was full of joy. He said, now I know I'm going to be serving God. Not for my own self and my own rewards in my afterlife. He was so full of joy that he was able to transcend himself. Because what pulls us down is our own egos, our own stuck points, our own hurts and histories. So, you're feeling down? Reach out to a friend. That's the second step. What else can I do to be able to pick myself up? What else can I do so that I could not only fight the negative emotions, but create positive, energetic, happy emotions? Our third child here is Benny. And it seems so simplistic. What's Benny going to do to be happy? He's going to do a mitzvah. He's going to help his mother for Shabbos. And in the story, the sister's baking challah and the mother's baking cake. And Benny is peeling those potatoes and carrots for the soup for Shabbos. And he's full of joy. What's that about? Why is it that when we do a mitzvah, why is it that when a Jew does a mitzvah, they are full of joy? And the reason is because what's happiness? Happiness is not when I get a new pair of earrings, though I might enjoy my pair of earrings. Happiness is not when I'm financially settled, though I want to be responsible. Happiness isn't only, exercise and taking care of myself. Where am I going to get that inner contentment from? Where am I going to get that inner joy from? When my life has meaning. When all the pieces of my life, when everything I'm doing, when all the roles that I have, whether it's daughter, sister, friend, mother, teacher, wife, businesswoman, speaker, author, whatever jobs that you have, when all those roles are in sync with my higher purpose. So what is it that I need in order to be happy? I need a mission statement. I need a reason to be alive. I need to have it so clear. Because God doesn't make any mistakes. He put me here. There's a reason I'm here. So I need to be in touch and aware of my general mission statement as a Jew. My general mission statement as a Jew is to do another mitzvah, to learn more Torah, to make this world a godly place. All the little details, when they fit in with that mission statement, it's like a puzzle that everything falls into place. So if there's one part of me that's not in sync with my mission, if I don't know what I'm doing here, if I don't feel that the qualities that God gave me are being used, a little part of me will be sad and depressed. When my soul is alive, I am alive. So I need to discover and live the life that gets my soul alive. And that's the godly emotion again. That's planting the money from the cotton. That's planting fields and fields of happiness when I'm in tune with my soul. What are the gifts God gave me and how am I using them to serve him? So if I'm not satisfied, if I'm down, there's something bothering me, I need to work on my mission statement. So if my general mission statement is serve God, make this world a better place, be a kinder person, I might even need a more specific mission statement. I might need, a mission statement that ties all the different pieces together, and you could be creative with that. But if I want a fighting chance at being happy, I need to have that higher purpose in mind. There was a story told about the sage Shimon ben Shattach, who purchased a donkey so that he shouldn't have to travel so far to the forests. So what happened? When he arrived home and he showed his students what his new purchase was, his students found an incredible thing around the donkey's neck. They made this discovery that the merchant who sold the donkey, without realizing, had sold a donkey that had a very precious jewel around its neck. And they turned to their teacher and they said, "You no longer will have to work and sell any ink. We will take care of selling this precious jewel that was around the donkey's neck, and then you could just spend all your time teaching Torah." And Shimon ben Shattach said, No, I bought this from a merchant. This merchant that I bought it from is not necessarily Jewish. If I'm honest, and I go and I return I return this jewel, I'm going to impress this person so much. I'm going to make what is called a Kiddush Hashem. This person, this non-Jew, is going to bless God's name. That is more valuable to me than any money that I could make from selling this diamond. That's what he did. He returned to the merchant, and the merchant was floored. And the merchant said, "Blessed be the God of Rabbi Shimon ben Shattach." So what is that about? When you have something bigger, when you have meaning in life, then it's not the money that's going to satisfy you. It's the purpose. It's the mission statement. It's what am I here for? I'm here to make a difference in the world. So if I want to be joyful, if I want to be happy, I need to take a second and think, am I using all the gifts that God gave me to make a difference in the world? Are all the pieces in my life aligned? Do they all fit? Is my life synchronized? Because that's what joy is. That I'm happy for myself, that my mission is being accomplished. And you know who else I'm happy for? I'm happy for God. I'm happy for God that he created a world, that he had a desire for people to serve him, to learn, to teach Torah, to be kind to each other. And look at that. He also gets what he wants. And this is such a strong joy. It's much bigger than all the little things. And then we have the fourth step. The fourth step in how I could be happy despite challenges, hiccups, internet being broken down, lives being divided, comments. We have a little girl named Bina. And she's planning a birthday party in the park, and suddenly it rains on her. And she's devastated. What's the key? What's the change that will allow her to go from being devastated to being happy? It's accepting the situation and saying, hey, I really wanted to have an outdoor birthday party, but now I'm going to make a fun picnic inside. And again, when I'm reading this to my children, it's like note to self, that pivoting perspective again. We can't learn in school. We're going to go on Zoom. Being creative. What can I do and how could I adjust so that I could really accept and I could speak for myself? I love to have control. I love to know what's going to happen. I don't like to have no idea what's happening in the future. I don't like when things are out of my control, like the weather or the virus. But as long as I'm trying to control it, my fists are clenched. I'm not allowing myself to experience the joy of putting down the burden. I remember a story that my father always used to tell me as a child. There was once a wealthy man traveling on the road in a big carriage, in a big wagon. And as he's traveling, he looks out the window and he sees a poor old hunched man with a very heavy load on his shoulder and a stick. And the wealthy man says, "Sir, do you want to join me in my comfortable wagon?" And the old man, this is his lucky day. He says, "Sure, of course I'll join you." And he comes inside and he joins the wealthy man in the wagon. And he sits down and they continue on the road. The wealthy man notices something very interesting. He keeps checking. He says, "You're in my wagon now. My horses are taking you. Why do you still have that big load on your shoulder? Put it down on the floor of the wagon." The poor man said, No. It's nice enough that you're giving me a ride. I don't want to burden you with having to also give my package a ride." And the wealthy man says, "Fool, you're in my wagon. I already am carrying your load." And my father would remind me, we think we have to stress. We have to carry the load. What's going to be controlling exactly the outcome. But the truth is, God is carrying us and our loads. And I could unclench my fists. I could accept the rainy day. I could see and evaluate how I could change things around and how God really does want the best for me. It's not easy, but it's something that we could model for adults, for our children. It's something that we can work on. But ultimately, the longer I hold on and clench my fist, the more frustrated I am. When I put down that load and I say, "God, you want the best for me. It's going to be the best for me." I'm able to allow that energetic, flowing, positive energy to flow through me. And then I could actually experience happiness. So, the 4 tips, the 4 steps that we spoke about from part 1 before the internet crash to part 2, and these are tips for myself, for my children, for you that you can start practicing immediately. Number 1, be grateful. Number 2, think about somebody else. Transcend yourself. Number 3, think about, are you fulfilling your mission? Are you using all the godly gifts that God gave you to make a difference in the world? And number 4, accept. Accept that God wants the best for you. Accept that God wants only positive, happy things. There was a blondie who called the airline and asked the following question: "How long is a flight from New York to London?" "Just a minute," the woman said. "Thanks," the blondie said and hung up. Just a minute. We hope that this ride that we're all in together, this COVID-19, is just a minute. And that really, really soon we will have health, stability, financial stability, everything that we need. And of course, the ultimate stability with the final redemption. But what I could do until then is get a taste of that joy that I will experience. And I could feel grateful. I could think about other people. I could use the gifts that God gave me to the best of my ability, and I could accept the situation with joy, positivity, and optimism. Thank you so much for joining tonight.